So she said, spending time with you is my top priority, but I have to work tonight. And he said, I understand, but it hurts my feelings. That's a typical interchange that that's normal. We hear that sort of thing all the time. Let us briefly, though, diagram the sentence. She said, spending time with you is my top priority, but I have to work tonight. The but means that wasn't true. Because if that were her top priority, then that's where she would be. So that was an interesting data point. That was fascinating. That's nice to know. That's a warm fuzzy. It's not true. That was not the top priority. That was a different priority because after the but, there's something else. And he said, I understand, but it hurts my feelings. So he was being kind. He was understanding the discontinuity of the first piece and acknowledging whatever it was that was going on. Yes, I'm going to be the understanding, supportive, loving, whoever it is that I am. And the truth of the matter is, my feelings are hurt. The talk today is called Get Off Your Butt, which is sort of for Annie's daughter Marley, who loves the double entendre talks that I do. When the minister talks dirty a little bit. The but is a cancellation. And it's really not that huge a deal, as long as you know what's going on. As long as you acknowledge and understand that whatever goes before the but is not the important part of the sentence, that it has been canceled and negated by the but, and that we're talking about the stuff that's after the sentence, then we can communicate a little bit more clearly and a little bit more honestly. But you can probably think of a time when you've had a conversation with somebody that sounded just like what we were talking about before. You're my top priority. I understand. Just watch for where the but is, where somebody's butt is coming up and getting inserted into the conversation, because it changes it. Words are important. The big, expansive, descriptive words are important. The little tiny words are important. How much different the scripture would be if it said, in the beginning there was darkness and void, and God said, let there be like, whatever. It was very specific. Let there be light, because what happens right after that? There was light. And then we can go on to whatever's next. Let there be light, but not too much light. And but whatever that happens to be. And the but is important as a little tiny word because in our world, it changes the meaning of the sentence. You can take two sentences and connect them together with and it means something completely different than if you say but. You're my top priority, and I have to work tonight. That has the same meaning, but it has a different tone to it. You're my top priority, I have to work tonight. Now I'm in a quandary. I haven't negated what I said before. You are my top priority. I have this other obligation, so now I am in that difficult position where I have to work it out. I understand, and my feelings are hurt. Those are both true. Those are both still there, and they allow the conversation to continue. So the but is kind of a stopping transition pivot word. So what we want to do is be really careful before we throw away that first part of the sentence, the juicy part that seems really important, that seems like it's going to be fun. That's what we really want to be talking about, and change the subject to what it is that's taking precedence there. And the other important thing to remember is that the universe is always saying yes. It is always saying yes. Whatever our intention is, the universe is saying yes. And if we're throwing a lot of little words like but, or the scary ones, don't know not, the universe doesn't understand that. If I say, I don't want to get a parking ticket, then what the universe is hearing is, I parking ticket. So, as Reverend Dave was talking about in the prayer work story today, what do you want to experience instead? If there's an experience that you want to be choosing, how do you want to describe that? Don't describe what you don't want, because the answer is going to be yes. And the best thing that can happen if you're describing what you don't want is that you won't get something. What you really want to do is say what it is that you do want to experience. As we say in Practical Prayer, there are 4 Ps. And yes, I'm doing the greatest hits. We're starting the Beyond Limits class in a week. If any of this is new or unusual to you, then the class is open. The 4 Ps. Everybody remember them? Your statements are positive.
Present tense.
Present tense. Powerful. And personal. The 2 most powerful words in the language are I am. It's also the shortest sentence that we can do. I am. And whatever you follow that with is what you're inviting the universe to say yes to. I am prosperous. But my checking account is however it happens to be. And you felt it there. So you can pop a hole right in your balloon of good by using the little word but. One of my favorite sports is rock climbing. And I really love rock. I love being a rock climber, but I don't have the body for it. And how much different it sounds to say, I love rock climbing, and I don't really have the body for it. Because what it sounds like, the first one is like, well, there's a stop, and I don't. I mean, rock climbers tend to be these little wiry, very short people with amazing arm strength and very long fingers. And that's not me. But I still love rock climbing, and I go anyway, and I do just fine at it, even though I don't have that build. So rather than have that be the stopper, that's just the qualifier and the explainer. So are there any ways that you are on your butt, that you can get off your butt, that you can get that little word, that little disqualifier out of the way, stop popping the balloon of your own good, and invite some more good into your life? The secret is getting to yes. The universe is always saying yes. And in fact, when we're dealing with other people, we're always getting to yes. In a business negotiation, when there's management on one side and there's the union on the other side, they all have their issues and their agendas, and they come in and they're fierce and they're bristling. What they're looking for is an agreement. What can they both say yes to? Has anybody ever been in one of those contentious negotiations? Has anybody here ever sold cars for a living? You seem to have a couch full of car salespeople who are recovering car salespeople. And the experience is scary for the person who's buying a car because they don't do that all the time. And the person who's doing the car sales is like maneuvering the game around. These 2 guys are actually really good car salespeople because they didn't play those games, which is also why they're not selling cars anymore. Because the sales managers didn't really like them not playing the games. But what winds up is after that whole process, you get to yes. The person says, yes, I'm going to buy the car. The salesperson in the dealership says, yes, we're going to sell the car. And it moves forward from there. So even in that contentious and scary and uncomfortable situation, everybody's getting to yes. I once started a job. It turned out to be one of the best jobs that I ever had. I've had a lot of best jobs I've ever had, which has just been a blessing for me. And I had been through a prosperity class, and I was in the process of getting rid of all of my debt. And I didn't have an income at the time that I did that, so I had to come up with an income number that would work with the arithmetic. So some number of months later, as I was interviewing for this job, actually the owner of the company flew me and my sales partner out to Oregon to interview for the job. He said, how much do you need to make? And I didn't hesitate for a second because I knew the number that I had put down on that piece of paper 3 months earlier. That's the number. I was like, whoa, it's a pretty substantial amount. Yep, and we continued to have the discussion. And the boss, Lee, said, what I'd like to do is start you out at 80% of your number, and after 90 days, we'll bump it up to the full amount. My partner, who had also not had an income for several months, said, let's take it. And I said, no. And we got a chance to chat amongst ourselves for a while, and Lee came back in the room, and Lee said, so where are we? And I said, at the end of 3 months, you want us to be successful doing this work for you. You want us to be fully on board on the team, and you want to give us the full amount of the money. In the meantime, we want to be able to put 110% effort into this and not be distracted by the fact that we're only making 80% of the money. So let's start at 100% and just assume that it's going to work. And he said yes. Because what we did is we got on the same side of the table. We all wanted the same thing. We weren't talking about how he can save himself a few bucks in the meantime, how he can protect himself and put a little but. I want to do this, but it might not work. We took that out of the way. It's like, let's just assume that it's going to work. Let's assume everybody is going to do what they want to do. Everybody's going to get what they need to get. This is going to be hugely successful. And like I said, it turned out to be one of the best jobs that I ever had. That happens all the time. You can do it with your kids. When there's contentious teenagers knocking heads. Magnolia Lux is here. The first time that she came, she got smuggled in Mom's belly. And then at some point she made you stop being able to bring the guitar. To push the guitar too far away. Delighted to have her here. And all those squeals are God reminding us that there's creation and growth and life going on all the time. And when she gets to be a teenager, yes, she will. And she will be an uncommonly gentle and loving and clear-headed and level teenager. Some of the others, nothing personal, James? Get into that contention. Because what they want seems to be in conflict with what their parents or their teachers or their guidance counselors or parole officers want. And our objective is to get on the same side of the table. No, it's not going to be me forcing you to do what I want. It's going to be us understanding what the situation is and where it is that we want to be going next so that we can get into agreement and alignment and go there. It's about getting to yes. It's about understanding what it is that we want to claim, what it is that we want to own, and putting that in front of our intention so that we can get the yes. Because the prayer of, I don't want my kid to be in jail, is not a good prayer. Where do you want them to be instead? And make that be the intention, make that be the prayer. This is not difficult. This is pretty simple. This is pretty straightforward. And there's 7 billion plus people on the planet. And we all pretty much want the same thing. We all want to be healthy. We want to be able to support ourselves and our family. So we want to have a little bit of prosperity going, and whatever that means in our particular lifestyle. For some people it means a 7-figure income. For some other people it means having enough rice to cook something for tonight. Whatever that means. We want to have loving relationships, have positive experiences. We engage with our beloved, with our family, with our community, with the world around us. We want to be able to express ourselves creatively, do work that means something in the world, and we want to feel a connection with Spirit. All 7 billion of us want pretty much the same thing, which is kind of cool. Which means there's got to be something going on that we're not getting it. Because we don't have a planet with 7 billion happy people. Everybody's got a range of stuff that they want, stuff that they're dissatisfied with. So one of the things that we can do is to identify what it is that we don't like, which is what the reading from August Gold was about. Identifying what it is that we don't want. And instead of putting a but next to that, put an and next to that. What do I want instead? What's the experience that I want to be having instead? To be intentional and positive about that. Because the universe is going to be saying yes. The universe is going to be saying yes. But the universe is infinite and has infinite time as well as infinite potential. So yes, everything is possible and everything can happen. And with the right intention, everything is certainly going to happen. We just don't necessarily want to wait that long for it. Having a good relationship with our kids, and we have to wait until we're 90 and they're in their 70s. Yeah, that's good. That's just not what I meant. So that specificity about what it is that we want to have gets the time focused in. So the potential that's there can unfold and reveal itself in a way that's going to bring more joy and more love, not just to our lives, but to everybody's lives. And to everybody's lives. See, I'm hearing myself do it now. So what are you saying? What are you saying yes to? What are you saying no to? Where's your butt? Does your butt get in the way of that? How is it that you can get off your butt and bring more of that good and more of that joy into your love, into your life? Anybody think of a story of somebody who had an intention for something good coming into life and setting that intention so strongly that it just started a chain reaction and ripples that are continuing to roll out? Moses did it. Moses had the idea, my people are going to be free, and they're going to be living in Israel. It took quite a while for that to happen. There's still some discussion. Jesus had the intention of bringing more love into the world. And even though he had a relatively uncomfortable experience partway through, that intention is still unfolding. This weekend is the 50th anniversary of the March from Selma to Montgomery. There was an intention for justice to be done, for equality, for voting rights to happen. And up until that point, it hadn't happened. And there was a very clear intention that things needed to get better. So the intention was set and the action was taken. And 50 years later, that's still unfolding. That's still going. The intention is there and it continues to roll forward. So setting an intention that way is really powerful. The words that we use are really powerful. And the clearer we get to be about our words, the clearer we can be about the experience that we want to be creating. So what are you creating? What are you bringing into your life? What are you saying yes to? I invite you to make your yes to be for whatever fills your heart, whatever you're yearning for. And if you find yourself thinking about what you want in terms of what you don't want, or if your description has a but in it, there's the invitation to get off of your but and find a way to get to yes. Because you deserve yes. You deserve love. You and 7 billion just like you deserve to have that good in your life. And it starts now. We're blessed. Thank you.